Hey, what's happening, Jody? Sal, what's up? What is this? 100? Yeah. Hey, Harry, how y'all doing? You'll be happy to know yesterday I was late because I was taking a test, and I passed that test, which is awesome. It's been a thorn in my side for a while. How to teach math. But today, it kind of matches my sweater. I just can't find my black hoodie, so I just have to wear this one. But appreciate it. Give it a minute or two and we'll get started on this one. We'll work on the Caddis wings. We got a couple style Caddis wings. This is just one of them that we're going to try to get down for some beginners. Hey, Roger. So we'll see how this one goes. Got a couple different styles. Some CDC. May be doing a body or two. Yeah, just a couple of these because of the Caddis wings. I know in the past that most of the wings you tie in first. Well, with Caddis wings, usually the wings on a Caddis are last. So we may be doing quick bodies and things like that. But we'll see. Try to get an idea of some wings here. Let's see. 4. All right, so here we go. How's everyone doing? Like I said, if you got any questions, throw them in the comments. If I'll answer them, some of the other veteran tires that are on will give an answer as well. Today we're going to be working on, I'm going to show you all a brief demonstration on how to do your L-Care Caddis and wings like this. This one has CDC in it as well. Oh, what is this? No. Okay, if you notice on this one, this has got a little bit of CDC in here as well. That's an option to do on these. But for your most part, I'm going to show you the basics on how to tie this in with a decent little head. I got a lot of people on today. Hey, Scott, Jeremy. But we mostly going to focus on the wing itself, not necessarily the head. And typically on these, L-Care Caddis are highly popular patterns, even if, there's not really even or Caddis in the area, which I believe in most places there are. What we're going to do is imagine the bodies already done on these patterns. Typically you go in, you add your you don't really have tails on the Caddis flies, but typically it's your body, your ribbing, and things like that. And today, being that we're going to be dealing with L-Care, we are going to be using a GSP. This is a general or gel spun thread. So Hey, appreciate it, Jeremy. You're going to use this because anytime you really tie in any deer hair or any elk hair, you're going to want a thick, strong thread, because you want a thread that's going to really withhold a good pull. Because once we pull on this to get that deer hair tight, most of the times on regular, like the thread we've been using, you know, your Uni 8.0s, the thread's gonna snap. Too much tension will snap on those. So on this one, we're gonna go with here. We'll go just standard hook. You typically on the Caddis flies, this one, I like the emerging ones here. Do the emerging ones because, get my big old fat fingers out of the way. These right here, because I like it to sit down in the surface of the water like so. And then that sits on top and it looks good. But you can do them on any shank hook, whichever one you really like, just as long as it's a lighter hook. Lighter the hook, the better. This is an oversized hook. This is a size 8 that I'm just showing so y'all can really see what's going on here. Now, just to get some of the stuff out of the way, it's called the elk hair Caddis, but that doesn't mean you have to tie with elk hair. I don't have very good elk hair, but this is some that I have. And this is good stuff, but most of the times it's a deer hair. And not necessarily a white-tailed deer. It could be, you know, all kinds of deer hair. And I'm going to show you the difference in, like, this is a compare done. We tied this yesterday, or the other day on our split wing. But using a finer hair versus, you know, just a regular hair, deer hair. This is going to be a little more coarse than your compare done. Your compare done is going to be your finest of the fine. And then the difference in tying in like belly hair, and then why selecting the certain types of hair is better. I also got a little antelope here that I can show you how to tie some of this in, and this is really close to your belly hair. This is super hollow, very buoyant material. And but first off, we'll just start off with showing the basic of tying in that elk hair. Let me get a card here. Yeah, just so I have this as a backup. Okay. So, for starters, if we've already got our body in, you're going to want, and I might just go ahead and cover this body up so you can kind of see it. Let me just throw in a little body here. Just throw on some dubbing, because usually, like I said, on the elk hair patterns, you want, we'll just go ahead and start back here. On your elk hair, your body's already finished. And I'm just whipping this together real quick. I will show you a really neat pattern I saw the other day that was kind of nice. Barryard Clark has some really nice patterns. And we're going to create just a little taper here. That's really what you're wanting. Don't mind that slop there. But okay, so there's your body. Now, you will need your hair stacker, or you can hand stack it. One of these. What you got when you do your hair selection, you want to make sure you're going to have enough hair. The hair you select is going to go back. You want it to come back about right here, and I'll show you that about this far past your hook, because when you pull it, it's going to ride up like so. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just trim off a piece. And honestly, I tell you, my biggest problem, and I'm not that great at these patterns at all. This is still a learning curve for me. Figuring out how to really tie this effectively, but it is a very successful pattern. So it would be wise to learn this. Right now, all I'm doing is I trim my hair, and I'm pulling out all the fluff. See if I can show you what I'm doing here. I'm just taking this and pulling all my fluff out. Got my lice comb here, pulling out all this extra fluff here that you see. Because when you go to stack this or tie this in, you don't want any of that fluff. The fluff, or that underfur, is really going to cause a problem. And this compared on here, honestly, I'm going to say this, it's probably not going to be good. Because I think it's too short. And then you get this right here, and you just pull that out. And your tips are all lined up. And the thing you want to look for also, get this back up here so you can see, is everything's nice and straight, nice and lined up. So, and I think this is going to be too short. But what I want to do is I want to come back and say, yeah, it's going to be way too short. Yeah, that's way too short. But we'll do it anyways just to give you an idea of the principle. We'll work on this sizing. So what you want to do is you're going to get it right there, and what I want to do is trim. That's where I'm going to set it. That's where my length's right. I'm going to trim the ends of that flush, and I want the ends right there at the edge of the eye, and I'm going to hold it tight. I'm going to bring my thread up, slide in between my thumb and my forefinger. See if I can do this without. Got to really show you good pinch wrap. So I come up here and I cram it back in my thumb so that you can see it's kind of stuck in there. Come around, let it come down. You're not pulling tight, you're just snugging it. Come back up, another pinch wrap, back down. And this is where you want to, you pull up and then crank. Pull up, and you're going to get, for me, and squeeze tight on the back. Pull up, another wrap. Each wrap you're kind of giving a good pull. Now I'm going to turn this real quick. Ooh, control. And then as I'm doing this, I'm working my thread through the eye. You can let go, and that's going to poof right back up. Now it's off, and I come back up, and I'm going to come right in here. Try to pull that back, get right up under this eye, just like so. Give a few wraps in there, like this. And then that's when you can do your whip finish, or do your, where'd my tool go? Do your half hitch tool, like this. Pull that up, like so. And then you can trim that off. Now, this takes a little time. It takes some practice to really learn how to squeeze. Now, if my hook shank was a little shorter, like where I stopped my dubbing at, you see that flow that's going naturally. You want that to come off the back of the body. Don't mind the hook gap here. Imagine if the hook went around here. So we'll work on the length, but that's how it should look. And when you cut it, like I showed you, run it even with the eye, tip of the eye, and then drop here. There's Kelly Gallup's got a really good video on that. That's where I learned that technique. But trimming it flush, John Moore talks a lot about that in some of his when he does some of his flies. But that's gonna be it. That's pretty much tying in the elk hair wing on a caddis. And I'm gonna trim this off. We'll start fresh. This time we're gonna go with, we'll show you how to size it correctly and not the way I just did it. So if you're working, and typically these are, you know, I've seen these tied in 18s, depending on location and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, you typically, I guess you're gonna go with 14, 16 on these. So the compare done hair is gonna be fine. It's gonna work nicely. I'm just using a very large hook. Hey, David. Yes, yeah, you're right, James. You got to get those to go through there, and what that does is when you're wrapping them through the head, and I'll explain that again when I go through, it stops your wing from rotating. I'll show you what happens when you don't. All right, we'll get our, oh, someone posted the other day, I'm going to just do this because I'm doing it right now. Someone posted the other day what was like the dumbest tool that they had in one of their kits, and I personally think it's your bobbin threader. I never use it. I just lick the tip of my thread, pull it through, get it through the little hole here, and then straighten it up, and that's it. Piece of cake. Wax your thread. However, that's my 2 cents on that. But, all right, let's jump into this other one. All right, start your thread. Go there. We'll go with, let's just give us, and I'm just being quick, easy on this dubbing, just to kind of give you, because again, I'll repeat, on an elk hair caddis, I know all the other wing tutorials and sessions I've done, I've showed you how we do the wing first. Well, on elk hair caddis, your wing is always done last. So it's important to, I want to kind of give you this visual to show you that the body of it, just act like we got a nice little body on here so you can kind of see. The body does go first. And for those that just joined in, the thread we're using is a GSP thread. And it's very important to use this because we put a lot of torque on our deer hair, elk hair, or any other hairs. So, just to show you that. Alright, so this, we're just going to grab some deer hair. It's going to be some longer deer hair. It's not your finest material like your compare done, but it's not belly hair, so this is, it's still going to flare. But so I'm going to come down here and give you, let you zoom out and see how I do this. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just pull me out a clump, find a nice, with some markings, let's see if you can see that. Okay, give me a nice little clump, and again, you're going to select, you're going to pull out a bunch, so get you a nice clump. Don't be afraid, I mean, to waste a little bit of this. You tie enough of these, you'll get an understanding of how much. And so this is what I got. I don't know, that's quite a bit, but that's all right. Well, and then you'll see how I work it. Now grab your tips, kind of fan them out, because you kind of fan them like this a little bit, not too much. You're going to get all the short hairs out like that. Get your lice brush or your whatever brush you want. I like the lice brush. That may have been a Kelly Gallup thing too, I don't know. But get all those loose hairs and all that underfur out, because without it, if you keep all that in there, you're not going to be able to stack it. Just get all these loose hairs out. It's not going to stack the way we want it to. And again, if you want to hand stack it, I'm not the best at this. You just figure, I don't know how to do it. Brent, we'll have to get Brent's daughter to give us a tutorial on that, because I'm not very good at stacking it like that. Get your hair stacker. This one's a little one. I may not be able to get all this in there. Yeah, I need to get my bigger one out for this one. But it's all right. Give it a couple whacks on the table. Yes, yeah, that's a good point, James. I have heard that. The thick as a pencil. Yeah, the thickness. Even though I've always heard them say that, they never looked like they're that big. But we'll get here. Now, another good little tip on this is if you're stacking this, let's come back up to the vise. If you're stacking this, you don't want to stack it this way. because now you're going to have to flip them. If you pull them out, now you're going to have to flip them to face your tips to face back, because we want the tips back here. Okay, so, and if you notice this bent tip, pull that out. Any of those broken tips, pull those out of there. And then if you got to restack it because of that, restack it. And there's a broken one in there. Get that broken tip out of there. Because really, if you don't care, it don't matter. But I care. So I don't like the broken tips in there. Pull those out and restack it. It's no big deal. There's a lot of nice hair stackers out there. Just find the one that works best for you. This works for me. Okay, so with this is here it is. I keep it in there just to might as well keep it straight. So when you, with the length that you're going to want, it is just past the bend of that hook. You're going to want to go just past it. So I don't want to go here, because then it's going to flare up here. If I go here, it's going to flare up, and it's going to come right, that curve, that natural flow is going to happen right there. So that's about where you want it. So with that being said, I'm going to grab it right here, just like so. And right there, let me back up, my fingers up. Right there is where I want to trim it. This is where people can get off. Just trim it right at the edge of that eye. Pull it off if you need to. Clean that nice and straight. Okay, so now I want to run it right even. See if I can get my finger out of there. Right even with the tip of that eye. And make sure my thread's right in the right place. Come up, tuck it back in your finger, so that way I can set my. See if I can just bring this around instead of moving the vise. I've got stuff on my desk here. See. Uh-oh. Okay, so now come down. When I come down, just a slight pull, keeping tension on the back, come back over, keeping tension, and then when you come up, give that a pull. I think I got this out of whack. Give that a nice tug. Let's put it back. Now, keeping a hold of the wing up and on, give a couple more wraps, pulling tension. And now, as we go through, as we're taking our thread to the eye, we want to wiggle your thread in between that hair and pulling. And that's going to stop it from slipping, causing it to slip around the hook shank. And also when you pull up, don't pull down. You pull down, it's going to roll it. It's going to roll it this way. If you come up and then pull up, it's just going to tighten it up. And then you get to the front of your eye, straighten it out, like so. Let your fingers pull back, and then get you some thread wraps in the front here. And that's pretty much going to be it. Trim out your pieces that you don't want. Yeah, typically you put your whip finish in, but just clean it up. Take your time when you clean it up. Don't rush through it unless you just want to. I'm meticulous, so. And then clean that up right there. And then now, and then you can also, that's kind of thick right here. So if you wanted, pull the tips, your tips back so you don't get those. Lay it flat on top of the hook. Just trim it. Just keep the tip of your scissors on the edge of your hook, and it's going to give you a nice straight, even head. And come back, clean that up like that. I got some over here, like so. And there you go. And that is, you could do some cleaning up on that one if you wanted. Come in here, I like to show the body a little bit. Let's see. Just trim it up, but again, take your time. Don't rush through it. And there you go. There's your elk hair caddis with basically the way it's supposed to. You want to see how those wing, how that curve, you got the curve of the hook, and that wing just lays over the back just enough. Just enough. And that sucker will float all day. So, that's that one. Any questions on those two? Any comments or something maybe I missed? Did I mention take your time? Thanks, James. Like the caddis wing, nice, full, like you like. Yeah, I've always been a fan of those full caddis wings. All right, I'll clean this one up. Keep the trash can around when I'll back out real quick. When you're dealing with deer hair, one day we'll have to get Ricky when he's done tying up 13 or 14 of those bass bugs he does, and let us see his desk, because deer hair goes everywhere. So just keep your trash can close by. Some Diesel likes to use a little dust buster thing. Alright, so now I'm going to show you this really neat pattern I saw. It's two materials, and I saw it on YouTube. And I don't know, it could have been someone James referred me to. James maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. I watch so many videos and tutorials, sometimes I forget where things come from. You start writing that stuff down. But this one, we'll whack it off. But dubbing choice on this, where I would go, you know, something fine, something that's going to float. You got your dry fly dubbings out there, but really this razor about had it. Deer hair everywhere. Yes, Roger. Deer hair goes everywhere, but I love it. And you know what? I may give a patch of deer hair away today. You know what? I will. At the end of this class, I'm going to give... Hold on. Bear with me. I got some patches of deer hair I'm going to give away today for this one. Just because giving is good. I'll figure out exactly what I'm going to do. Maybe I have someone pick a number. I don't know. But this next elk hair caddis does not even include deer hair. This is just dubbing and CDC. This week, hey Roger. Alright, so this one, you don't even have to use GSP. We're just going to go, let's just go with an olive. Go with an olive, because we don't really need deer hair. It's just on my desk. Any questions? Anybody? Okay. All right, let's see here. I'm going to zoom in. This is actually a really neat pattern, just because of the simplicity of it. From the video, just put on a very fine wire hook, extra fine hook, We're just going to take this thread all the way to the back. Just like so. And then we're going to use, let's go with this dubbing here. Paul Silverman, I have heard some hair flares more than others. Yes, Paul, I am going to show you. Actually, I'll show you on this one. We'll hold the other one off. I've got some other hair I was going to put on the table to show you how some flares more than others. The two I showed so far was the compare done hair and the. I'll just go ahead and make this body up. And then just regular deer hair you can buy at your local stores that's just sold as deer hair. It's not considered belly hair. It's not for stacking. But you've got a nice I'll do that real quick. And then we're just going to build a small taper, not much of one. And your thread breaks. That's alright. Always ready to go. Thread breaks on you, which happens quite a bit on beginners and people who've been tying for a while. It just happens. Grab your thread, grab your new thread, take this one, run that one back, run it around a few times, and then come back with it, and you're good to go. And then snip those two excess pieces off. It's like you never stopped. Back on. And then go back to building that taper, just like so. Yeah, you got, Paul, you've got your deer spinning hair and that's the stuff that you stack. You've got that type of hair, and that is your belly hair. That's gonna be, I brought some antelope too, because antelope's real good for stacking. But you get your belly hair that's just real fine. This stuff, I mean, it's just, I'll show you real quick. It's so super light, super hollow, and when you put that stuff in, this stuff is yeah, it flares. But when you stack hair, that's what you want. You want it to flare. So and then you pack it, and that's what makes, you know, some of those really tight bodies. It's taking a lot of this hair. Again, I'm just getting this out. I'll stack this right quick. Get it in there. And it's super light stuff too. This stuff you gotta keep your dryer sheet around every now and then. That's what I found works pretty good, keeping a dryer sheet around, and it helps to keep the stuff from sticking. So now, typically, right there, that's where I would want it, just past. So I'm going to go right about here, and that's about right where I want to cut it. Put my scissors right where I want to cut it, right there. Come down, clean that up a little bit. Put it right on top. Now, the problem is I have 8/0 thread. So now I have to be super careful, because I'm not going to be able to get those tight wraps that I was getting. So this is where I got to be careful. I'm going to take that round once, round twice, giving it a good pull, and then when I come up, since I don't have the good thick thread, I'm going to have to really wrap and give it without too much tension. So I'm not going to get tight enough wrap. If you notice, that stuff's going to flare. I wish I had my GSP on this one. And then again, you have that where it really wants to flare out a lot more. But that's that. But the one I wanted to show you, I'm going to back this off. Uh-oh. Get this off of there. Okay. The other wing I wanted to show you was this one. It's with CDC feathers. Another little tip I'll show you is if you ever buy your packages of CDC from the store, this is what I had from the store. I'm in the process. I got some information on where to get some quality stuff. But if you do get these are the ones I got when I first started. Brent showed me this technique, and I've since been addicted to steaming all of my feathers. Any chance I get, I steam my feathers. So I pull them out of these packages and then I stick them in here. I steam them, get all the bends out, and then I stick them in another baggie. So that way I don't have to sift through these trying to find all of these that are twisted, bent, crooked. I can just go through, grab the ones I want, and go from there. However, I want to use these natural ones, because the natural, you go with the natural wing, and I have not steamed those, but that's okay. So I'm going to take 2 of these natural feathers here, and I'm going to tie them in right here. Little pin trap, do another one there. Oh, see, you don't have strong thread. That's what happens. We'll go GSP. It's alright. Throw the GSP in there on the head. Hold that. Tying's not about your mistakes you make. It's about knowing how to correct them. Looked at that a lot with my photography, woodworking, a lot of things in life. It's not the mistakes you make. It's basically how much you get up and fix the mistake. So, that's what I do. Squeeze those tips, make sure they're on there nice and tight, straight. Now, pull up. Good pull till you get to the length you want. Keep going. Right there. That's the length I want. Grab your dubbing. Wrap your dubbing in there like so. Fold this back over. Wait a minute, did that wrong. It's alright. Make sure your thread ends up in the back here like so. Wrap this up. Then those back. Like so. Trim that out. Like so. Do your whip finish. You can color the thread if you want, or you don't have to. And there you go. there's just another, that's a CDC Caddis wing right there. And it's pretty simple, 2 materials, CDC and dubbing. CDC for your wing, and then if you want to trim those off, just pull that, trim them up. That's that. But yes, let's do another. Some shorter hook. Get back on the deer hair. Get this one done here. Any questions? Again, I'm using GSP on this one because I've got the deer hair. Get your body material, whatever you decide to use for your body. So we'll just do a little, just for contrast. All right, how do you steam feathers? Okay, good question, Roger. I bought a steamer. You get in the laundry section at your Walmart or whatever dollar store. Use it over there with buy your irons and things like that. But if you just take a pot of water, put it on the stove, and once that starts boiling, all that steam that comes off, just hold the feathers over them. Use tweezers or tongs or something like that, and that feather will, all the bends, it'll return back to its natural shape. And oh, it's awesome. All right, so here is, let's just use some of this. This is antelope, very hollow stuff. Antelope's great stuff, but it's just so brittle, and the fibers on it are, the tips, they're not really good for tips, because the antelope's pretty rough on their hair, so on their fur, so all the tips are usually busted. But again, just brush out all your under fur. And then we'll put it in our stacker. How long? You'll actually, Roger, you'll see it instant. I mean, just hold it over there until you see it straighten out, and then that's usually about it. And David, I was using 100 GSP on that one, and then yeah, that was it. So with this one, really bad tip, so we're gonna go there, measure, come right here, do a little pinch wrap in there, come down, another wrap right there, and then pull up. And you can see how, I mean, I'm barely even putting anything on it, it's already wanting to flare on me. And that's too thick of a head. And another thing on this deer hair is, if you get some that you don't want there, keep putting tension on it, they'll snap off. So that's gonna be, I mean, you can see how much that flared out, and that's your belly hair, and that's like what, I mean, I can pull it tight, but it's still, it just, that belly hair just flares. Now, let's do this. What happens if you don't run your hair through? What happens if you don't run it through the head like that? Let's just show you that. We're going to cut it right off of there. We're going to put it up here. If you don't wrap it, okay, so we put it here, wrap twice, and then it flares, and then if when I go to wrap it, you'll notice how it's twisting around the body. The more and that's called spinning deer hair. And now if I try to pull it around the front, now I've got deer hair all over that thing, and it never really holds in place that way. That's why it's important to run it through that head of I got a big mess here. Let's see if I can get this out of here. It spun good. There you go. There we go. All right. Let's see what else we got. There's that big mess here. I do know another thing I was going to show you is, let's see if I can, oh, where'd it go? A little bucket. Okay, while I'm doing this, I'm thinking I'm going to give away, let's see, a patch of deer hair. Patch of deer hair, and let's see, patch of belly hair, and a nice patch of elk hair. Let's do that. I'm gonna get this back out of here. Give a nice patch of elk hair, or mule deer here. Mule deer, not elk. Mule. Nice patch of belly fur from whitetail, and this 6x6. So nice deer hair from the same deer. Let me come up with something here. Let's pick a number 1. There's 12 of y'all on. Let's do a number 1 through 75. Y'all pick a number 1 through 75. Trinity, yes. Come here. I'm gonna have my daughter pick a number 1 through 75. Pick a number 1 through 75. Write it on a piece of paper for me. Write down a piece of paper. Whoever can get within 5 of that will win those 3 patches of hair.
1 through what?
1 through 75. All right, and then while she does that, or while y'all keep guessing numbers, then I will tie up. I was going to tie something up. Oh, yeah. I was going to show you this. One last thing. This is kind of a neat caddis wing. Let's see here. Usually you want to use like a pheasant feather on this, a turkey feather. Pick one. A chicken feather would be good. Nice soft tackle is good for this. Here we go. This one will work right here. Just use one similar to this. This one right here. And then what you do is just pull all this fluff off. And then once you got your body and everything, go ahead and trim that. Now, you can use, let's just say, okay, so we got a pretty long, that's pretty long. Let me zoom in here so we can see. And those of you just come on, if you guess a number 1 through 75, my daughter has picked it already. I'm giving away some deer hair, some mule deer hair, and whatnot. So we're going to take this feather here. I'm going to use a UV. I have a UV resin that I use. I use Solar Res. And this is the Flex formula. You can use hard as nails or something else, but this stuff is pretty good because it allows this feather to be flexible. So I'm just going to put some on my finger. Just a little bit on my finger here. Where'd it go? Right there. I'm going to rub it in, but I'm also going to massage it in on this feather. I'm going to give this feather a nice slick coat of it. And just run it through, just like so. Soak it into them fibers, rub it in. Alright, let me run through these numbers here to see. I do not see her number guessed. So, we gotta, let's y'all can do multiple guesses, I guess, until we see the first number pop up. And then, but then you do that, and then I'm gonna hit it with my torch just to get it to dry. My UV torch. Just hit it a little bit. Let that dry. I haven't done this method in a while, so hopefully I don't mess it up. But if I do, it's all good. Alright. So, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to pull some of these out because that is way too long. Now, put this on here like so, and I'm going to fold it, crease it just like this. Hold on. Alright, let's see if we see any numbers. We see any 1 through 75, guys. 1 through 75. Alright, so now I created this tip, this kind of angle on it. Set this up here. Find out where I like it, just like so. Squeeze the front. Nice little pinch wrap, like so. Lay this on. You know what? Length is good, but I got too many of these other fibers, so I'm going to pull those out. Gonna match them up on both sides. Oh, we got a winner. We got a winner. Roger. My daughter has spotted your number. 55 was the number. Trent, show me your paper. 55. Hold on. 55. Well, yeah, over there looks like 22, but we're in reverse. So, all right, Roger. Message me your address and stuff later, and then I'll get you some of that deer hair. There's 3 patches of hair sent out to you. All right. Good job. Cool. Feels good to give stuff away. All right, we'll put this on here. Give that a good wrap. Fold that back. Trim this off. And now you've got your caddis. That's still kind of too long. You want that a little bit shorter, but hey, you get the principle. And now that is pretty solid. You could probably trim that up, but you know what? And then add your dubbing here. Bring it back. Add your little thorax. Some extra dubbing. We got some fluff here. Let's use this fluff. Come off that feather. Who says you can't use the fluff off a feather? Do that. Good twist. Use every part of that feather, right? And whip finish that, and you are good to go. Working on getting better at my hand whip finish. Oh, a little sloppy, but there you go. Alright guys, and that's that. Like I said, this is too long, but it's on there, and you got that flex cement, so that's going to hold up for a while. That's very durable stuff. But typically you want this, I'm going to go ahead and cut it to where it needs to be. Typically you want it to be about right there, and then you could trim this thing up. Get you a little V in the middle of it. But the nice thing is when you do it this way, all those barbs stick together, and now you got a nice little caddis wing just like that. Get it sit up higher if you want. That's a nice little caddis wing. But longer shank hook would work too. Alright guys, so that is the caddis wing class. Hopefully you guys get that helps some of you on those caddis wings. Again, I'm going to keep them in guides. Could you use loon also? Yeah, Roger, if loon has a flex, the thing with this one is it's a flex. Where'd it go? Zoom into this. Right there. It's a flex cement. Yeah, so it's a flex. So it dries and it allows things to be pliable and stuff like that. So, but yeah, tomorrow I am going to do a bonus one tomorrow, and I am going to do slips. I'm going to show you how to tie in slips. Yeah, you could try other materials, Roger. I've always used just the flex. I'm not sure how pliable the other stuff will be. I don't know, just because this is bendable. And but by all means give it a shot and see how it works. I don't think super glue is going to work. Super glue will dry stiff and it'll probably crack. So, but you could try it. I don't know. They also make the wings for it too that you can buy, but heck, we got tons of feathers, so just use those. But tomorrow, 10 o'clock, 10 a.m., I will do a short class on how to tie in slip wings. It's a little more advanced tying in the slip wings, but there's enough of you here that I can do a quick demonstration on how I do it. I've watched quite a few videos from Don Bastian, and he does a lot of the Ray Bergman stuff, and a few other tires out there that give me some instruction on this. So yeah, we'll go over that. And this is, again, this will be a more advanced technique, but it's pretty cool. I mean, it really changes the game when you can add slip wings to some of your wet flies. But thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll post this video in the guides, so all the classes will be together for later use. And the guide section is at the very top of the page. Just go through all the events. It says files, events, announcements, and all those up there. So all right, appreciate it. All right, you guys have a good one, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.